What am I eating? What am I feeding my children? Where does it come from? Is it good for them? Is it good for the earth? These questions have shifted my way of life and driven me to investigate how our culture affects our world.
Our local grocery store, as we see it now, with the cans and the bottles and the plastic wrappers, we have to change. The world cannot sustain that any longer. We have to do something about our garbage. We have to do something about the health of our children. And so we have to move in a different direction.
You know, we have this 20,000 people living on a peninsula with only air and water access to other places. Could we actually feed ourselves with the land we have? I think we probably could, but it would take some big changes.
I am not alone. There seems to be an uprising of sorts, a growing revolution of communities who are reclaiming control of the food they eat.
Here it is. Here's the earth, here's the soil. You know, if you're going to take care of it, it's going to feed you really well.
In Powell River, we really need to step up our food production. We really do not grow near enough food for ourselves. I think we would last one day if we were to live on our own food for everybody to eat.
In Powell River, there is a demand for local food, yet perhaps only 1% is grown here. The rest is shipped in.
So we're struggling politically in the north against a certain kind of economic model that makes it challenging for small farmers to survive.
Inspired by the amazing accomplishments of the people of Cuba, I decided to see for myself how this country revolutionized its food systems.
Si no hay el combustible, yo pienso que el mundo tiene que, todo el mundo desarrollado y todo el mundo tiene que saber que el petróleo se va a acabar para todo el mundo. No va a ser para el pobre solo. Quiere decir que todo el mundo se va a acabar el petróleo. Y hay que ir trabajando ya, de alguna forma. Igualito que los productos químicos, tratar de trabajar con la ecología de la tierra, aplicando otras. El producto se siente más fresco, no tenemos que aplicarle nada.
So when they began, there was just 4 hectares, what they had.
Entonces, bueno.
The Cuban experience shows us what much of the rest of the world will face at some point in time. Cuba had no choice but to try to grow food with few inputs from the outside. Cuba's an island, it's relatively isolated geographically, but of course politically, because of the American embargo, it's been very isolated economically. And when they lost their fossil fuel inputs and their other agrochemical inputs here in the early 1990s, they had to find another way to produce food.
Hoy la política del país, del municipio de Bayamo y de la provincia es el autoabastecimiento municipal, o sea, ser capaces de producir nuestros propios alimentos.
Que estamos en un medio, que tenemos que estar en armonía con él, que tenemos que estar en equilibrio con él y que no podemos irnos por encima de él, sino que tenemos que convivir con él porque es una retroalimentación. A la vez que la tierra, nosotros nos servimos de la tierra tiene que servirse de nosotros.
They had no choice but to shift from imports and industrial agriculture to local food production and organic methods. Can we learn from their experience? What if we had to feed ourselves?
La Revolución Cubana es un proceso de evolución. No se puede separar por etapas, es decir, viene desde el 59 hasta el presente, evolucionando con el pueblo. El Che siempre decía que había que crear a un hombre nuevo, a una mujer nueva, es decir, a un ser humano con capacidad para analizar las situaciones, pero con mayor sensibilidad, con mayor solidaridad.
If we as a society and civilization are going to survive the ecological crisis and peak oil and peak everything, we're going to have to realize that the greatest element in that process of survival is recovering a sense of community, a sense of social fabric, a sense of solidarity. So that these are critical elements for our survival as a species, and therefore we have to look at how the Cubans were able to cultivate this notion of community mobilization and maintaining a certain social fabric.
Todavía quizás no hemos salido totalmente de ese llamado periodo especial. Todavía la alimentación no es la misma que teníamos en los años 80, por ejemplo. Pero se va adelantando muchísimo.
This model of producing healthy food where it's needed for the population is the future of feeding ourselves on the planet.